Japan is usually perceived through the lens of samurai, geisha, and technology. But that is only the last layer, the top centimeter of a 1,000-year history. In 1992, construction workers were clearing a site for a baseball stadium in the city of Aomori, and they stumbled upon something that forced the stadium to be built in a completely different location. Beneath the earth lay one of the largest prehistoric cities in the world, with roads, granaries, houses, and a 6-columned building 15 meters tall, constructed 2,600 years before our era. This is the Japan that textbooks do not show. Stay until the end. The final find of today's episode is 20,000 clay figurines, the majority of which were deliberately broken into pieces. Why? There is still no answer. Let us try to unravel the mysteries of this country. Discovery number 1. Sanai Maruyama, Aomori, a city 5,000 years older than samurai Japan. Date of discovery, 1992. Reason? Preparation of a site for stadium construction. When workers began breaking ground in the southern outskirts of Aomori, work had to stop immediately. Beneath centuries of accumulated earth, a city began to emerge, one of the largest Stone Age settlements ever found in Japan. Sanai Maruyama existed for approximately 1,700 years, longer than many famous ancient states endured. Area, 42 hectares, more than 650 residential structures, specialized workshops, granaries, an organized system of burials separate from the residential quarters, and a 420-meter straight road leading to the coastline. What amazed scientists most was a single structure. During excavations, 6 post holes were found arranged in 2 parallel rows of 3. The distance between the holes? Exactly 4.2 meters. Fragments of chestnut posts about 1 meter in diameter were preserved in the holes, their bases deliberately charred to protect against moisture and decay. Calculations indicate the building reached 15 meters in height.
What was it for? A ritual sanctuary? A watchtower? A lighthouse? The alignment of the posts and a number of other features across the settlement are oriented to celestial bodies. Some researchers propose an astronomical function. There is no answer. At Sanai Maruyama, jade, amber, and obsidian were found, all from regions 500 or more kilometers distant. A trading network in 3,900 BCE on Japanese territory. The city's inhabitants consumed fruit-based alcohol. They cultivated chestnuts according to a specially devised scheme. Genetic analysis of chestnuts from the excavations confirmed the trees were cultivated, not wild. All of this overturns the familiar image of primitive hunter-gatherers. This was a planned, sedentary, trading, building city, millennia before the Japan everyone knows. In the quiet village of Asuka, among rice paddies and cherry orchards, enormous gray stones protrude from the earth. They resemble slabs arranged on a giant table. This is Ishibutai, the stone stage, the largest megalithic tomb in Japan. Once it was concealed beneath an earthen mound. Gradually, the earth eroded away and exposed 30 granite blocks forming the burial chamber. The ceiling is formed by 2 monoliths. The northern one weighs around 64 tons, the southern around 77 tons. One can enter the chamber. It is large enough to hold several dozen people. The quarries from which the stones were taken lay several kilometers from Asuka in the mountains. Transporting 77-ton blocks across mountainous terrain without metal tools or traction machinery is one of the most impressive feats of engineering in early Japan. Who is buried here? Historians tend to believe it is Soga no Umako, a powerful aristocrat who ruled from the shadows during the Asuka period and helped spread Buddhism. But no inscriptions, no remains. The tomb was plundered in the Middle Ages. There is no direct evidence of who exactly lay in the sarcophagus. Moreover, research shows that the line connecting the entrance to the tomb with the burial chamber is oriented such that on certain days of the solar year, the rays of dawn enter directly inside. The architects may have combined the mausoleum with astronomical symbolism. 1970. A farmer was digging a hole to store his winter supply of ginger. His spade struck a stone slab. He called specialists.
In 1972, the tomb was opened, and they were transfixed. Inside the small round burial mound, a stone chamber. The walls are covered with full-color frescoes, red, blue, gold, silver. On the eastern wall, 4 courtly men and the azure dragon. On the western wall, 4 courtly ladies and the white tiger. On the northern wall, the black tortoise snake. The southern wall was destroyed by medieval looters. The red phoenix is believed to have been there. And on the ceiling, a complete map of the starry sky rendered in gold foil. The 28 constellations of the Eastern astronomical tradition. At the center, 5 stars of the North Pole, all connected by red lines. This is one of the most precise astronomical charts of the early Japanese Middle Ages, on the ceiling of a burial chamber that no one was meant to enter after interment. The courtiers' robes in the frescoes are in the style of the Korean kingdom of Goguryeo. This attests to direct cultural connections across the sea. But who is buried here? The list of candidates includes sons of Emperor Tenmu, a son of the last king of Baekje, and several high-ranking officials. None has been confirmed. The tomb is completely sealed to preserve the frescoes. There is no public access. A special museum hall has been built nearby with exact full-scale copies. The nameless person with constellations on the ceiling. 1,300 years. Still a mystery. In 1986, the authorities of Saga Prefecture launched construction of an industrial complex. They carried out a standard preliminary soil survey and discovered underground something that immediately halted all building work. Yoshinogari, the largest excavated site of the Yayoi period in Japan. Area, more than 40 hectares. At its peak, the settlement was surrounded by a double moat 2.5 kilometers long. Inside, watchtowers, gates with zigzagging entrances making direct assault impossible. Double wooden palisades, separate zones for nobility, priests, and ordinary inhabitants. More than 2,000 burials. Raised granaries for rice. Bronze mirrors from China. When the site was opened to the public in 1989, the Japanese media erupted with a sensation, because this entire description almost word for word matched the description of the capital of Yamatai from the ancient Chinese text Weiji of the 3rd century CE. The Weiji tells of the country of Wa, early Japan, and its ruler, Himiko. It describes a fortified palace complex with towers and moats inhabited by rulers and shamans. The time frame matches exactly. The geographical location, quite plausible. Was Yoshinogari the capital of Yamatai? Was Himiko here? Most scholars are cautious. There is no direct evidence. But in 2023, in the so-called mysterious northern zone of Yoshinogari, rare stone casting molds dating to around 200 BCE were found, possibly the oldest in Japan. Excavations continue. On a plateau 180 meters above sea level in Akita Prefecture lie 2 stone circles. The first, Manza, is 52 meters in diameter, composed of 6,500 stones. The second, Nonakado, is 44 meters in diameter, composed of 2,000 stones. Age, approximately 4,000 years. The stones were dragged here from the Okuya River, 5 kilometers away. Each ring complex contains a special sun structure, a group of stones positioned to the northwest of the center. A straight line drawn from the center of each ring through its sun structure points precisely to the sunset position on the day of the summer solstice, for both rings simultaneously. This is not coincidence.
This is deliberate design. People 4,000 years ago, without writing or metal tools, created an astronomically precise dual system. What for? Burials have been found around the circles. Everyday objects and ritual ones have been found. Researchers believe the circles were never completed in the conventional sense. They were continuously reconfigured, stones added, like a living organism that changed with the ritual needs of the community across centuries. The neighboring Isadatai complex was built exclusively from greenish stones of one specific type, specially selected and transported. Why that particular color? Unknown. January 1986. Diving instructor Kihachiro Aratake was exploring the waters off the southern shore of Yonaguni Island, searching for spots where hammerhead sharks gather. And he stumbled upon something that changed his life. At a depth of around 25 meters, a gigantic stepped structure. Extent approximately 200 meters. Width approximately 150 meters. Ledges, right angles. Something resembling staircases. Flat surfaces from which the excess appears to have been removed. Nearly 40 years have passed since then. The debate continues. Geologist Kimura of the University of the Ryukyus devoted 15 years to studying Yonaguni and concluded it is a man-made structure. He speaks of tool marks on the stone and structural features difficult to explain by natural processes. Geologist Schock of Boston University holds the opposite view. Sandstone layers in this area split along horizontal and vertical fissures, producing neat rectangles without anyone's help. Neither Japan's Agency for Cultural Affairs nor the Okinawa prefectural government recognizes the site as an archaeological object. There is no official protection. Anyone who wishes can dive there with scuba gear and form their own opinion. If this is a natural object, it is remarkable. If man-made, it is one of the most significant discoveries in history. It is precisely because the question is unresolved that this place gives no peace. More than 20,000 clay figurines. This is not a metaphor, it is a documented number. They have been found at hundreds of Jomon period sites across Japan, from Hokkaido to Kyushu. They are called dogu, earth images. Most depict women, with wide hips, rounded bellies, and characteristic geometric patterns across their entire bodies. The details are so precise that historians suggest the patterns represent tattoos or elaborate clothing. Some figurines have triangular faces, others heart-shaped, still others with enormous bulging eyes that resemble the Arctic snow goggles of the Inuit, or something else entirely. But the principal mystery is not the form, it is what was done with them. The overwhelming majority of dogu were found deliberately broken, not accidentally cracked over time, but purposefully smashed in antiquity in the moment of a ritual. Parts of one figurine were scattered across different locations, sometimes several kilometers apart. A few rare specimens were found carefully buried whole. The Metropolitan Museum suggests perhaps illness or ailment was ceremonially transferred to the figurine, which was then smashed, destroying the ailment along with it. Other researchers speak of sacrificial rituals or of symbolic departure through deliberate destruction. One specimen from Hokkaido, 41 centimeters tall, became a national treasure of Japan. Its rear wall is less than 1 millimeter thick. How this was made without a potter's wheel and modern tools, no one understands. The dogu figurines disappeared at the transition to the Yayoi period, around 300 BCE. The new peoples who arrived on the islands did not make them. What they were was carried away with the Jomon era. If asked where lacquer originated, most would answer China. That is incorrect. During excavation of a burial at the Kakinoshima B site in Hakodate, Hokkaido, ornaments were found covered in red lacquer. The burial context indicates an age of around 9,000 years. A direct date from the neighboring Mibiki site is around 7,200 years. These are the oldest reliably dated lacquerware objects in the world. The nearest equivalent in China appeared approximately 3,000 years later. Japanese lacquer, urushi, is extracted from the sap of the lacquer tree. The technology of its production is remarkably complex. The sap is toxic to skin on contact. It polymerizes only at specific humidity and temperature. It requires months of waiting and the application of many layers. Mastering this process through random trial and error is extraordinarily difficult. It presupposes systematic accumulated knowledge transmitted from generation to generation. Jomon craftspeople coated wooden vessels, combs, ornaments, and bows with lacquer. Finds from the Korakawa site in Aomori, a birch bark wooden box with a cloud pattern coated with layers of red and black lacquer, rival in quality the products of far later civilizations. Whether this was independently invented in Japan or adopted from elsewhere, scholars debate. But the fact remains, Stone Age hunter-gatherers on the Japanese islands possessed a technology that the rest of the world would not discover until millennia later. Japan is not only the country we see,
Beneath the thin layer of present-day culture lie thousands of years of questions still unanswered. Every stadium, every rice paddy, every vegetable garden may conceal beneath it a new chapter. In 1992, that turned out to be an entire city. Who knows what it will be next time?